So my name is Anne Boring. I'm a Franco-American citizen and I grew up in France. I'm currently assistant professor of economics at the Erasmus University of Rotterdam. First of all, when I'm working, I tend to be doing stuff that I really enjoy, so I don't necessarily see it as being work. And more broadly, I just really enjoy learning. And in terms of passion, I am passionate about music, so going to concerts, playing music myself. The best thing about my job is for sure the academic freedom that we have. So we end up spending a lot of time working, but we get to organize our work like we want to organize our work, and we get to pick the topics that we do research about. So this freedom is, I think, a unique advantage of having a career in academia, and this is for sure what I enjoy the most. So when I was young, there are a lot of things I wanted to become. At some point I distinctly remember wanting to become a dog breeder, so nothing to do with academia. And then thinking, well, that would not let me travel enough, and maybe it was not intellectual enough. So yeah, things kind of led to another, and eventually I got interested into politics. And then into academia, and I started enjoying economics when I was, I guess, a third-year undergraduate student. And that's when I really started to discover the depth of the field and the extent to which I enjoyed writing and conducting research in economics. So I think, yeah, that's probably the time when I really started to understand what I wanted to become, which was assistant professor. I was a student who did not like to take exams. So for a long time I kind of felt that maybe academia was not necessarily something that was meant for me. I think that things really changed when I started writing papers. Being able to explore the topics I was very much interested in actually kind of fed the way that I enjoy learning. So I enjoy learning by doing. And it makes much more sense for me to use the material for a given purpose. The fields I conduct research in currently are mainly labor economics, gender economics, and education economics. I'm interested in the development of people's careers and studying people's career trajectories to try to figure out at what point does the gender pay gap or does the gender gap in careers starts to develop. I got interested in studying these issues of gender studies by kind of a casual observation regarding student evaluations of teaching. So I actually had myself very good evaluations, but talking with other people, I had the feeling that maybe there were double standards in the way that students were evaluating professors, male and female professors. And it seemed that they were not applying the same type of criteria in terms of the way that the students judged women and men. So the research that I eventually conducted on gender biases in student evaluations of teaching studied two different data sets. One was a natural experiment in France, and the other one was with two colleagues from Berkeley, where we did a reanalysis of a controlled experiment that was conducted in the US. And the idea of these two experiments was to try to see to what extent students were actually biased in the way that they evaluated professors. So in the French context, what I found was that male students in particular tended to give higher evaluations to male professors. The other finding of the gender bias in that study was essentially to find that students tended to rate professors as a function of gender stereotypes. So criteria that can be more closely associated to female stereotypes, such as being well prepared, being well organized, feedback to students, kind of, you know, what caters directly to students' needs, women would tend to score higher, whereas men would score higher on, for instance, class leadership skills. While I do think that student evaluations are useful, there are two things that need to be done for sure. The first thing that needs to be done is that the questions need to be oriented towards the student's experience. The other thing is that you need more than just those student evaluations to actually assess the quality of teaching. And I think that actually if we learned how to appreciate feedback better, everyone could benefit from having these types of interactions. So if I were going to pass on any wisdom to my students, I think that one of the most important lessons I have learned being a student and then doing my PhD and then now starting my career in academia is to try to take any challenge as a learning experience.